Good evening, everybody. Namaste and welcome. Let's begin with a prayer. Let's sit upright, visualizing the presence of our masters, their blessings and guidance with us today and always. Let's offer this prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, beloved Gurus, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, our friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda Ji, we humbly bow before you all, invoking your presence in this satsang, in our hearts and minds, that you may come and take charge of our lives. O great masters, we thank you for the teachings and wisdom you have brought us. Help us apply these teachings in every aspect of our lives and help us share them with all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let's meditate, friends, just for a minute, sitting upright. Take a few deep breaths. Gently lift your gaze behind closed eyelids. And let's meditate just for a minute. Om Shanti. Welcome once again, everybody. It's nice to see some of you have your cameras on. I'll invite others who can do so. It's always nice to see one another. Now, today's topic, we are in this flow and theme, as you know. Today is the third class in that series, you might say, of preventing health. I don't know, just today or yesterday it was, yesterday night, I was having dinner with some friends. We were talking about something. And I said, my goodness, it's all prevention is better than cure. There are some statements that just echo through eternity. And so in prevention, we discussed the general theme. Then last week was prevention through diet. And today I'll be talking a little bit about Paramhansa Yogananda Ji's teachings on fasting and how that can help prevent certain challenges, diseases. So let's start with that. Now, first of all, I'll present Master's teachings. We call Paramhansa Yogananda Ji Master because he was a master. He had self-mastery. And then we will talk a little bit about some research that has come, because some of the things Yogananda Ji shared were over 100 years ago. Some of the things, of course, that he shared and brought together have been known for thousands of years. So it's just wonderful to see that some things work. They just simply work. And thankfully. And then science also tries to do its due diligence, which is excellent, which is really nice. But I remember I was at S. Vyasa, one of India's premier institutes on yoga research, based out of Bangalore about some years ago. And I attended a talk over there, and I really loved what the author said. He was an accomplished doctor, yoga teacher, and he was addressing hundreds of us. And he said this wonderful thing. He gave many research articles that had come from S. Vyasa, which, by the way, till about 10 years ago, was producing 70% of the global research in the field of yoga. So a lot of that's the primary thing they do. And very interestingly, then he mentioned that, yes, research has shown this, research has shown that. But he said, but if you're feeling good in a nice way, like your awareness is such that you're eating a certain breakfast. He gave the example of berries for breakfast, and you're feeling good that, oh, this is wonderful. I'm feeling energetic and nice and happy. He says, don't wait for 40 years, because by that time, when the research does, if and when the research comes, it may be too late to apply it. So that's a very beautiful principle of awareness, that to know ourselves, the impact food, fasting in today's case is having on us. Now, I want to mention right at the outset that, in this series of health healing talks that we do, not everything is for everybody. I'll give you the example of Swami Kriyananda ji. Paramhansa Yogananda told him, I want you to have 3 square meals every day. So there wasn't much of a scope of fasting in Swami Kriyananda ji's life. He still did fast on certain occasions. He wrote about it. So keep in mind that some of the things and guidelines I'll be sharing over here are not for everybody. The other thing is, of course, I really hope, especially those who are regularly attending, they must have seen me show this book again and again. And this morning also, I did an interview based on this book. If you don't have it, please do get a copy and we'll share a link, because there are more details given on the subject of fasting in this book. Now, what did Yogananda say about prevention of disease and fasting? First of all, I love Master's way to bring high truths down, very simply. He said, we all enjoy a Sunday. At that time, when Master went to America, it was a 6-day working week. Then it became 5. Otherwise, maybe he would have said a Saturday and Sunday. But he said, how often do we give? But how often do we give a Sunday to the stomach? He said, just like the overall body needs to heal, or sometimes people, want the mind to heal, or some emotions to heal, they ask for some time, they ask for rest. Well, so it is with the stomach, so it is with the pancreas, so it is with the liver. And so Yogananda ji said, if once a week you go on a water fast for 24 hours, or a juice fast, or cut down on a meal, or certainly don't overeat as a habit at least. Master said, especially when you fast, you give a Sunday to the stomach. And he said, in that rest, a lot of healing starts happening, not only for the digestive system, but for the entire body. I remember in medical school, I read that 80% of the body's energy goes into digesting a heavy meal, which is why we feel sleepy, if you've had a big meal right away, because the body starts working on it, in a big manner, the blood flow, all the processes that come, and that is demanding on the body. From a yogic sense, we are all receiving prana or life force all the time. Yogananda said you're receiving it from the moment you were conceived in your mother's womb. It comes in through a part of the brain called medulla. It goes in the brain and spine. It goes throughout the body. And that energy is what keeps us alive. And that is what keeps, you might say, digestion, because that's what we're talking about today, going and moving. But if we tax that system too much, well, then we are using up precious prana, which otherwise Yogananda said can be used for healing the body. So give it a try. There are many different ways you can do it. Like I said, water fast. Once a week, Yogananda said you can go on an orange juice fast. Why particularly orange juice? Well, Paramhansa Yogananda ji said it counteracts the acids that are produced in the body by meat eating or eating heavy foods. And I'm sure he would have said overeating. So there are certain things that are produced, and orange juice, I've personally found, just yesterday I had some orange juice for half of the day. It just feels wonderful. It agrees with the body in a nice manner. So that is one thing. Yogananda ji also said if you take orange juice, he said it keeps the cells firm. It brings more energy into the body. It also prolongs, water fasting, orange juice fasting, these prolong our life span. And like I said, prana, life force, is conserved, and then it can be used for other healing processes. Another very simple observation Yogananda ji writes when he's talking about fasting is, he said, when we are not well, the first response is to not eat. And now those who love us, they'll naturally say, oh, you're not eating. I remember as a doctor, naturally parents, if the child is not well, the parents will bring the child to the doctor. And one of the first things they say is, oh, he has stopped eating. And you have to tell them that's wonderful. Don't force him or her to eat for 2 3 days. It will automatically come back. So you see, somewhere nature knows that I'm not well, the body is not well. And if I can conserve the energy of digestion, then that energy can go into fighting the bacteria or virus or whatever it is. The second step, interestingly, Yoganandaji says, is that when your digestion, let's say when you're not well, you're fasting, then he says, you don't want to eat heavy substances. You just don't feel like also. You want to eat something light. And even in that category of light food, Yoganandaji said, if you study ancient Indian and Chinese medicine, what is recommended and what is preferred by people. You see, nowadays we live too far away from farms and in buildings and such, which again, Yogananda ji addresses that also. But he said when man lived very close to nature, first he stopped eating, then they would have some light herbs because they found that it works well, and you're drawn, your awareness is such that you say, hey, this is what I want to eat, and then you start recovering. So herbs entered the healing modality from there. And then, of course, Yoganandaji then says that as travel and urbanization increased, you couldn't have herbs at your house, fresh herbs. So herbs were turned into herbal supplements, you might say, or capsules or medicines. So that is another way and sequence in which we can, we go from fasting into other places. Now, when we are talking of disease prevention, the word disease, Yogananda ji said, comes from dis-ease. You're out of ease. So for those who are seeking a spiritual kind of healing, emotional healing, mental healing, the burden of the body is a disease also. Yogananda was very strict on that. He would say, when you're meditating, dump the body. Learn how to control the thoughts and emotions, keep them aside, because the primary goal of meditation or healing through meditation is to change our awareness, change our consciousness. And in that regard, to free us from that disease of body consciousness, fasting is also helpful sometimes. And again, don't have to go on an absolute and long fast. Try something light. A simple thing is, try meditating before breakfast or after breakfast. Before breakfast, meditations are usually much better because the body is not, you don't have to think about the body. Whereas if you meditate after a full stomach, you're trying to meditate, but by and large, one is thinking, and the body makes itself known so that we are out of ease into, I won't say it's a diseased state, but we are more conscious of the body. Similarly, Jyotishji, our Dharmacharya, he's written a beautiful blog which you can find online just by Googling on fasting. And he says, when I fast, and he said, I feel that my mind is clearer, my body is lighter, I feel happy, it works for me. So again, no scientific way to address them, but what else do you need? Health itself, if you have to define health or the absence of disease, it is a state where it's not just that, oh, I don't have any diseases, doctors have said everything is fine. That's a good start, but how are you feeling? So if you're feeling the life force come and flow through you, flood your body cells, and not be taken by too much eating in this case, then you find that fasting has that effect on our emotions, on our mind, and also on the body. And to close, a few things that scientifically have been researched. Well, fasting has been shown to improve the body's response to insulin. We all know about insulin. When there's too much sugar in the food, in the body, in the blood, then insulin is secreted so we can balance it. and the body's response to insulin. Because many times you may have heard people say, oh, doctors are saying I might have insulin resistance, that the insulin is fine, the amount of insulin being produced is fine, but it's not, the body is not responding as well as it could or it should. That is improved, that insulin sensitivity is improved in the body. Inflammation and many parameters and chemicals that lead to inflammation have been shown to go down. LDL, or which is also commonly called the bad cholesterol, that has been shown to go down by intermittent fasting and such. Another beautiful effect of fasting, and I and some friends came out of a 9-day fast recently. Now, today's class is more about prevention, so I want to go in all the beautiful benefits people felt. But I really felt on day 2 or 3, it's a 9-day fast, I was like, my body's asking for food. And I could somewhat feel that it's breaking down the inflamed and old and infected cells. It's a process called autophagy. Phagy means eating, and auto means self-eating, that within our body, all the time, there are new cells which are being produced, and there are old, inflamed, infected, precancerous or cancerous cells. And of course, now they should be taken care of. But if we are constantly giving food from outside, then it has been found that the body does not clean up the system from inside. So autophagy is something that for which Dr. I believe his name is Yoshinori. He got the Nobel Prize. He was from Japan. And if you're interested in that, read about it. And again, don't have to do too much of it. Just start with half a day, 1 day, maybe take it up to 36 hours. But you can start feeling the body is cleaner, the inflammation goes down. And finally, I'll talk a little bit about cancer and inflammation, because about 15 years ago, I met Dr. Babu Joseph. He was then the director of National Institute of Naturopathy here in Pune. Remarkable man, remarkable life of, just working with people in different ways, nature healing. And he mentioned to me that he had worked with certain individuals who had cancer, and he worked with them under making them fast under observation. And he said many of his patients recovered from different cancers even by fasting, especially under coconut water only. And sometimes it would be for a few months. I believe he told me there was a case where he observed the person for 14 months. And Swami Kriyananda ji, my teacher, also confirmed that many decades ago. And of course, now it is known knowledge in naturopathy. There are specific books and videos you can find. But again, be careful. Remember, he was a very talented doctor. So your doctor has to know his subject. They have to be willing to work with you. But if fasting, I thought, can cure cancer, well, it can certainly help prevent also. So autophagy is one thing, inflammation, which ultimately can lead to, in some rare cases, it can lead to cancers. Inflammation causes a host of illnesses, from heart disease to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and many other situations. So again, I'd like to close on this note that even though fasting is of course a wonderful modality, it is part of yoga sciences, but it is not of primary concern. Just like diet, there are other things which have been placed by yogis to be of more important. Our mind, our will, things like exercise. We should take care of our diet. We should fast. But again, if you're the kind that you fast and it doesn't work for you, or it affects your mood too much, don't worry. Don't feel, oh, I'm missing out on the benefits. Like I repeatedly say, health is a subject which can be approached from many different angles. But on the other hand, if we can find the more of these we can include in our lives, well, on one level, we do get diverse kinds of benefits. So please experiment with this. Of course, anytime you face a challenge, you have a question, feel free to write to us. We'd be happy to help. So on that note of preventing, illnesses with the fasting, let us then close this talk with a prayer for the world. Then we will go into individual healing prayers. So let's take a moment to sit upright. Let us visualize the light and presence of God. flowing through everyone. Let us see that willingness and openness to tune into divine will, increasing day by day in everyone, bringing His light, His guidance, His blessings, grace, and protection to one and all. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, in all minds, and in all souls. Let's rub our hands together. Send these blessings and this prayer out into the world to everyone. Om Shanti Shanti.